The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. Hey friends, welcome back to the Film Addicts Podcast. This is part 2 of episode 3, where we're going to be talking about exclusively Robin and Robin adjacent topics, the legacy of the boy wonder. So we return you to the episode already in progress. There's been a whole bunch of different incarnations of Robin. Obviously, the most famous being Dick Grayson, who was introduced by Bob Kane and Bill Finger and Jerry Robinson in 1940s detective comic 38. As a colourful sidekick to Batman. And despite what some people say, even though it's a pretty cool idea, I don't think he's just a target that, a colourful target for bad guys to point their guns at while Batman goes around the back and trounces them. I think he's actually a really important character. Grant Morrison put it best. He said Bruce sees in this child, sees in this young boy, the child that died in him when his parents were killed, and he wants to... Oh, I'm going to make Aady cry. It wasn't me. Grant Morrison said that. But, and this boy looks up and says it's not weird. Like, it's not like creepy that there's got this old guy with a young kid. They're like brothers. I die for him. We are connected so much. Such a wonderful character, and really is the first and greatest sidekick. Now, Aady,
absolutely,
you love Robin.
I do. It's my secret obsession. It's the one thing that only you know about that nobody else does.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
This is a podcast, so typically, in order to keep a secret, you don't tell people. So, do you want me to cut this part out, or what's going on?
No, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine with it finally coming out now.
Yeah, and the 4 people who are listening, yeah. Yeah, okay, so how did that start? I don't understand.
Good God. Okay, so I did my research because, talking about Robin is very, very interesting to me, it just means so much to me. Mm-hmm. Because I come from a very different world when it comes to Robin. But I want to start with how the idea of Robin was introduced, right? Because you have Batman, and when he's doing Batman shit, he's not actually talking, is he? He has inner monologues, which gets kind of boring when you have 15 pages just inner monologues.
I don't disagree, sure.
Right. So they were like, how do we make something where Batman has someone to talk to? And that was the birth of Robin. Right? And we have different Robins. Robins, of course, is a title that you carry. And the first Robin was Richard Grayson.
The big...
He's not there. Oh, God. I knew this is coming.
How could you not? His name's Richard Grayson. Of course I'm going to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Just the first Robin, and he's now still currently Nightwing in the comics. Just such a beautiful character, beautiful heart, and yeah, a great counterpoint to the darkness that is Bruce, so much so that they're parting when Dick decided not to be Robin anymore and become Nightwing. It was because he'd have a falling out with Bruce.
Right. So I want to ask you, what was your introduction to just specifically Dick Grayson?
Probably as Nightwing, honestly, because there was, I liked the idea. I read a Robin Year One, and it was you know what it was actually? It was the episode of the Batman animated series where they did Robin's origin story. I can't remember the name of the episode. I think it might have been...
The Flying Graysons, right? That's supposed to be...
Yeah, it was the story of the Flying Graysons and him going in and sort of investigating that as an older, Robin, not as a child. And then I read a Year One issue of Robin, which kind of talked about the start and where he came from and everything that was in line with what happened in that cartoon. But then it would have been the mid-90s, probably, I don't know, 93 or 94. Yeah, Chuck Dixon and an artist who I really liked at the time, Scott McDaniel, started working on Nightwing's original series, which I have the entire run of up until about 2008, because I dug it so much. Just before they started
You're a madman, and I love it.
What later on I'll send you a photograph of the long boxes I have in my house, and that's how many comics I have. But anyway, more to the point. And then I started reading that series, and I loved him. It's everything you like about Batman, but he's got a lot of heart. He cares about people a lot. The love story between him and Barbara, in particular, the issues where she is still in a wheelchair. I'll never forget. She was talking about it, like there's a scene where they're talking about it, and they're so in love with each other, and they know that they can't actualize that because of the responsibilities they have, and the fact that she is in this state, and that makes it hard for her to commit to him, for whatever reason. I understand that in the real world there are relationships like that totally work, but in the comic world, she has a problem with it, and she's talking about all the things she misses. And one of the things she says is, I miss being able to turn off the bath taps with my toes. And I felt that was such an actual, a real thought that someone would have. You know, it felt very realistic, and it made me, and it was that the book was filled with that stuff of real emotional moments. So that's sort of where I kind of was introduced to him. And at that point, I mean, Jason Todd had already come in, Tim Drake had already come in. There were already other Robins established, but I was always a dick man myself.
As you are. As one is, right? A dick.
I had to do it. Oh, I feel like I've been getting so serious. It's such a serious episode, and I had to throw in a dick joke. So yeah, I mean, was Dick Grayson your Robin, or like when you started reading or started becoming interested in Batman comics, who was in? Was it Damian?
No, so interesting thing for you.
Okay.
The only thing I've read with Batman is The Long Halloween, and as far as I can remember, it doesn't have Robin in it.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, because it's Long Halloween. It doesn't have time for Robin shit.
That's fair.
But my introduction to this Robin in general was the Young Justice show.
Of course. I'm sorry, you mentioned it before too. I should have assumed.
And I've followed just that show, and I'm gonna go on a limb here and say something that I think you might agree, but a lot of people won't. But I know to anyone who's listening or watching, or to the 4 people who are listening and watching, just
our mums.
Thank you for listening. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
First of all, thank you for listening. We forgot to thank you in the anyway, right? If you disagree, go in the comments. But anyway, Dick Grayson, just as a person, right? You forget Robin, you forget Nightwing. Just Dick Grayson as a person is Bruce Wayne's greatest success.
Oh, you're gonna fucking make me cry. That's so true. It's everything that Bruce wanted to be, but he's too hard. He's too broken. Oh my God. That's brilliant. You win the podcast. Nerd points for Aady. More nerd points. More. That's great. Well done.
Yeah, and it's amazing, and it's kind of heartbreaking, but also it's when he's there as Robin, it's closure for Bruce, and it's something that Bruce as a person and Batman as a character of vigilante doesn't really get a lot of, which is just closure, where Batman gets a person to have these different ideologies for, but also gets an opportunity to form a person out of him. And I think as much as it breaks Bruce's heart when he leaves as Robin, in deep down he knows that if there was ever a person to have left Robin and go on to do something even greater, it's Dick. And it's there in the Injustice comics. I believe it's there even in the films, where no matter how much of a relationship Bruce or Batman has with somebody else, it's always Dick Grayson that's his son. It's only Dick that really does understand him. And it's Dick that goes to Damian and says, he does actually love you, right? Like, no matter what he says, no matter how many times God, I'm tearing up now.
Oh, we care about this shit, people.
We care.
That's why we're here.
No matter how many times he's hard on you, and no matter how many times he pushes you to broaden your ideologies, it's because he loves you. It's because you represent something that he lost and he'll never get. And it's so true to who Dick is. It's
You can't not laugh at the word dick. It's a funny word.
Hey, it's Richard Grayson. Such an amazing name. Why do we stick with Dick Grayson?
I don't know why. People in the comments, if you can tell me what the origin, the genesis of someone named Richard being called Dick, please tell me, because I don't know where it came from. It doesn't make any sense. It'd be like if my nickname's Regs. Obviously, everyone calls me that. My actual name is Regan. It'd be like my actual name's Regan, and you guys all call me Phil. Like, it makes about as much sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can call me Phil if you want to, but it's very strange. But you can't help, saying Dick when you're talking about him. But yeah, I understand. I'm listening. Continue.
And so the show has really, that was my introduction to Robin as a character. And that's when I understood that 99% of the people in this world who know that Robin exists either have the misunderstanding that he's his son, or if they know that Robin exists, or if you in the comments, or if you who are listening know that Robin exists but doesn't know how many Robins there have been, it's probably Dick Grayson.
Yeah. Well, it's the one that is in majority of the animated series. It's the one that's in the films, played by the 48-year-old Chris O'Donnell or whatever he was when he was in Batman Forever. He wasn't 40; he was 20-something. But to me, Robin's always a teenager. But yeah, I think Dick Grayson is usually people's enclave into the Robin of it. I just want to go down the line and we'll go through them and see who people recognize and who you recognize. So Dick Grayson obviously came in, retired, became Nightwing. Jason Todd was next. He was the second Robin. He was introduced in 1983. If I'm not mistaken, he was like stealing the hubcaps off the Batmobile.
He was trying to steal the tires of the Batmobile, and Batman finds him.
And being quite successful, and Batman took him in, trained him. He was, a much more aggressive and violent young man, and famously was voted by the fans. There was a comic released.
Get killed off.
Yeah, Death in the Family. There was a comic book released. All DC comics at this time were released, and in the back of them there was a phone number you called for live or die. And the margin was very, very small. It was like 53 to 47 in favor of him being killed off in the now famous comic Death in the Family, where he's cradling Robin's decimated, broken body, smashed to pieces by the Joker with a crowbar. Which is interesting in when we have the return of Jason Todd as the Red Hood, and he says to Dick, I understand that you have a rule about not killing, of all the things that he's done and all the lives that he's taken, and you just keep putting him in jail. And he's like, why didn't you kill him for me? Look at what he did to me. You owed me that. Like, that's so. If nothing else, that story, the Death of the Family, benefits later on by having Jason
Red Hood show. Yeah.
It's good. It's basically just like Under the Red Hood. That's that series by Judd Warwick. I can't remember, But yeah, that return of his of the Red Hood is really great. We were talking briefly about Kerry Kelly, who was the first female Robin. She appeared in Batman Dark Knight Returns, which technically is an Elseworld story, really. She was just a young street kid who mythologized Batman and wanted to take over the mantle. Tim Drake would come after Jason in the regular continuity in 1989's Batman 436. And he was at the performance of the Graysons where Dick's parents died, and was sort of influenced in that respect. He's he's still in the comics now as well. He's just a bit older, but he's also he's Red Robin now.
He's Red Robin,
who right. you will encounter in Kingdom Come. That's where
okay.
Yeah, you'll see the costume and know it straight away. And then Stephanie Brown, the daughter of the villainous Clue Master. She was also Spoiler and Batgirl, and had a brief stint as Robin. But then when the universe was rebooted, they went back to for the New 52. She was kind of put aside. And then of course we have finally Damian Wang, who is the love child of Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's, or Ra's al Ghul's, however you pronounce it, for yourself, daughter. Batman and her had a poke, a little slap and a tickle in the the desert. Played a little tickle pickle, or a pickle tickle, whatever you want to call it. And Batman kept his mask on, but took the rest of his clothes off, which I reckon is awesome. The original comic, written by Denny O'Neil and drawn by Neil Adams. Denny O'Neil then wrote it out of continuity, but Grant Morrison brought it back in. They had this child who was, their love child, grown in an artificial womb by Talia, and then raised in the League of Shadows, or the League of Assassins. And then she sort of set him upon Bruce to say, he's your kid, and you got to take care of him now. But really it was a way to be like, hey, you're the king, I'm the queen, this is our prince, we're going to run the world. And Batman's like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be involved with criminal activities. Talia said, no, the three of us, we can fight crime, we can do it. And he's like, I'm not going to do it your way, I'm not going to kill people. And she's like, all right, well, fuck you, it's war. And serious business. And there's a beautiful arc of Damian kind of becoming more and more wanting to be his father's ward and wanting to be a good person. And like I said when we were talking, I think it was the last episode, the future stories told about Damian, both by Grant Morrison and Tom Taylor in the Deceased storylines, he is a much more well-adjusted and emotionally a mature Batman than Bruce ever was, because he deals with his shit. At some point between where he is now, being still basically a child, to being a young man as Batman, taking over the mantle from his father, he figures some shit out. And he's honestly, apart from Dick, he's probably my favorite Batman. Such an interesting character. But that's it. They're all the Robinses. Which one's your favorite?
Well, we actually have to talk about all the Robins, or at least talk a bit about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you a chance to talk about Dick Grayson, because you gave me a chance and you didn't tell me shit. So now you have to.
What do you want me to like? You asked me how I feel about him.
Oh yeah.
I think probably my cat is desperately attempting to get up onto the couch. You all right, love? She's very old. It's a shame you can't all see my old cat splodge. Anyway, as I said before, I got into reading Nightwing when it was, like 90, I want to say 92, 93, but it could have been a bit later than that. I was definitely in high school at least. So I would have been year 8 or 9, whatever that is, the equivalent of. So 15, 16. And at that time, when I was looking for things in the art that I was consuming, it was masculinity, because I couldn't, the circle I ran in maybe didn't have that. I was raised in single parent household with a sister, and it was, my dad wasn't around, so I that's kind of where I lent, strong characters, male characters and that kind of stuff. But then as I got older, I found those characters to be more than just that. And Dick was absolutely one of those because, like you said, he's such a positive person. He's so understanding and accepting and is able to diffuse situations using smarts and what Damian ended up with, emotional maturity and things like that. So for me, it was really about watching a character go from being the under the guidance of this person who is severely maladjusted and dangerous in a lot of respects. Batman, Bruce Wayne, never willing to deal with his own shit, incredibly narcissistic in some ways. Seeing this person recognize that and go, this is no longer a healthy relationship for me. I need to go and find my own strength, whether that be masculine or not. Go out there and find the best version of myself and embrace that. And as a young man, as a teenager going into early 20s, it was a really important message. So I relate to Dick a lot. He's still probably, along with Spider-Man, only because I have so much previous with Spider-Man, probably my favorite superhero is Dick Grayson in Robin or Nightwing form. I'll take him or whatever. Yeah. And the current run of it is really great. He's Alfred, spoilers, Alfred has passed on and had been ferreting away money. I don't know if he was like stealing money from Bruce or whatever was going on, but he had a heap of money and left it all to Dick, and Dick's like, I'm going to change the planet with this. I'm going to help some people. And he's also adopted a puppy and they call it...
Oh, man. Yeah, I was getting confused because this is the Tom Taylor one, right? That's going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on right this second. Yeah, and Barbara's got this implant in her back, so she can now walk, and they are kind of building a relationship, and everyone around them's like, oh, fucking finally. Damian's in it, which is great. Jonathan Kent has come into it as well. There was a beautiful little story about the first time Jonathan met Dick, and he's become his mentor, which is really sweet. And it's just, he's adopted a puppy and called it Bitewing. And it's just, it's really, and also it works perfectly for me now because, I mean, superheroes don't age. It's one of the benefits of being a superhero is that you can be Superman and be a father and all that stuff, but you're still only about 30. But Dick Grayson has had so much time as Nightwing and been through so much. Like, he was shot in the head and got amnesia and was an agent, special super secret agent, and then came back to being Nightwing. And now he's in a place where he has the responsibilities that an adult has. He owns the building that he lives in, and he's responsible for all the people in it. He's got all this money. He started a new foundation. He's funding the covert news organization that Jonathan Kent is a part of. He's being a grown-up in a way that he hadn't before. And again, it's not about masculinity. It's not about man, woman, or any gender at all. It's just about a person recognizing the best that they can be and going after that as a singular goal. That helps me now as a 39-year-old man the same way that it did when I was 16. So for me, Dick is really... Oh no. I was so serious. For me, Richard Grayson is the greatest hero ever created, I think. In my opinion. I think he's for me, he's the most important superhero in all universes because I relate to him so much, and he is so human. And literally, he doesn't have superpowers. He's just a kid who can do some flips. He can flip, and it's wonderful. But yeah, I love his heart, and as silly as it is to get attached to fictional characters, these people can sometimes be more real than the people who are actually in this on the globe with you, on the planet with you, and they can teach you more as well. And they are real people. They come from the minds of writers and artists who have feelings. You can't help but funnel that into what you're creating. And they have beautiful messages. So I absolutely recommend go out and grab a Nightwing comic any way you can, whether it's the new run or the old stuff or whatever, and just get some Dick Grayson into, get some Dick into you, you know? No, seriously, get some Dick Grayson into your life, because you'll be better for it.
It's amazing and hopeful at the same time. And
Yeah.
geez, was it the last one? I think it was like, because I wrote it down and you stole my point. I'm so furious because I did so much research about Tom Taylor doing. I even wrote it here. I wrote Nightwing issues 78 to 83 by Tom Taylor.
Yeah.
I think it was
probably more than that by now.
83 came out like what, 4 months ago or something?
I'm not sure. I don't know where it's up to, but I've got them from when he started, which was in the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. Just I sent you a picture on Instagram like a few days ago of it, just like Nightwing gliding in that
huge vista. Yeah.
Yes.
It's really impressive. If you get a chance, people just look up, pages from the first issue of Tom Tyler's, and the artist too, Bruno Ronaldo, I think his name is. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I've tagged him a lot on Instagram too, but because I feature his art a lot. He is my favorite artist working today. He understands dynamics and cinematography and like camera angles and just as a draftsman, no one's doing the work that he's doing. The way that he has Nightwing feature, like they used to do it in Spider-Man comics and stuff as well, where they'll draw multiple versions of the character doing a move, and you understand that it's just you're just like following the action. He does that so well. And in that one particular shot that you sent, it's a vista of Bloodhaven, and Nightwing is really small in the frame, but he's huge light behind him, and he's flying into nothingness. That's also as well the great thing about the character is he's fearless. And wouldn't you love to be fearless? Wouldn't that be a great, not stupidly, but in a way that you throw yourself headlong into danger for the betterment of humanity. What an inspirational figure. What a wonderful person to look at and go, yes, that I can learn something from this two-dimensional drawing. It's a great run of the books, and it is along with Son of Kal-El. It's my favorite thing that I'm currently reading, and it really did get me back into comics. I wasn't collecting single issues at that point, and then all of a sudden, this guy Tom Tyler comes out of nowhere with my favorite character, and I'm like, I haven't read Nightwing in years. I wonder what's up with him, and it's. He's in a relationship with a redhead. I mean, I can relate. He's got a little puppy. It hits all my sweet spots. I'm so sentimental in my old age, but it's beautiful. So please do go check it out.
And just like another thing about just Nightwing, because we have to talk a bit about the other ones, but Nightwing is our favorite. So just a bit more is that. Do you remember that panel where when he announces that he's gonna fund the organization, and before that he has a conversation with the symbol of hope, Superman.
Yeah.
He asks him, what do you think of it? And he says it's a very specific one. But and then after that, Bruce Wayne calls him after the announcement, and he says you did him proud, which is such an Bruce Wayne and Batman would only do that to Dick Grayson. Nobody else comes close to their relationship. Yeah,
that's very specific to their relationship. And when you say, what Aady means is when Bruce calls Richard and says, you would have done him proud, he's talking about when Alfred gives Dick the money, the millions of dollars he had saved, and Dick goes out and says to the media, I'm starting a fund called, the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation, and it's going to be about, making Bloodhaven, like pulling people out of poverty and making people better. So he's now fighting crime out of costume as well, and that's where Batman calls and says, hey, you did him proud. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And it's so you see a Batman comic or and you see it's so different yet so connected, right? And God, this is why this is why people love Dick Grayson, is because in your mind, if you don't know who Dick Grayson is, I guess if you I'm sorry.
You're trying to find the words. I understand.
Yeah.
As a writer, I understand trying to find the right words. It's hard.
If you've listened so far, you absolutely know what we're talking about when we say Dick Grayson's the best.
Yeah.
But if you still don't know, in your mind, picture Batman and picture Superman, and picture all the best parts of both of those people. That's what Dick Grayson as Nightwing is. And it's like you don't see that. Like when do you see like a sidekick getting a conversation with Superman?
Yeah.
You never do.
And he's responsible for the name. Nightwing was the name of a Kryptonian superhero. And when there's an issue of the Chuck Dixon run where Dick has a conversation with Kal-El about, I want to go out on my own, I don't want to be Robin anymore. And he tells him the story of Nightwing. And that he takes the moniker. They mentioned it recently in an issue of Nightwing. Jonathan Kent brings it up. He's like, my dad gave you your name. Beautiful. And you're so right. That's such a great point to make. He is the best parts for all the flaws that Kal-El and Bruce Wayne have. Dick is right in the middle and has learnt everything he needs to learn from them, and also rejected the things that he didn't need.
Absolutely. Good God, man! I could go on and on about Dick Grayson.
Well, we're getting very long in the tooth here. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to us just glow about this person who's not even real. But that's totally fine.
Real to us.
Yeah, he's real to us. So as far as the other Robins are concerned, we've kind of gone, I went through them just previously. What's your experience with the rest of them? I suppose it's probably just mostly Damian.
Actually not. I am quite interested with, it's a baller move, because when DC Comics did this, I'm sorry I don't know the writers, but when it did happen and they did introduce Jason Todd after Dick Grayson, it is such a baller move to follow up Bruce Wayne's greatest success with Bruce Wayne's greatest failure.
Yeah, so true. So true. How articulately put.
Yeah, I'm a writer myself sometimes.
I know, I've read your stuff. Yeah, so true. And it's so sad. And by the time he gets to, Tim and Damian especially, people are like, you sure you want to keep doing this?
Yeah, it's...
the sidekicks, man, you're kind of fucking it up.
And that's it, right? That, like, you hit it right on the head. Batman misses Dick Grayson, and that's all he can ever think about. Which is why he fucks up Jason Todd even more than he already is. Because Jason Todd Jason Todd represents what Batman is constantly fighting. Like, from where Jason Todd comes to what he eventually becomes is exactly what he's fighting. And it's really heartbreaking to see him just like, Jason Todd for most of his run as Batman, as Robin, is just
I'm with you. I'm following.
He's just trying to live up to Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Which is you should never do that. Like, you will die before you ever live up to Dick Grayson.
He is, yeah. I mean, it looms large, but it's also nice because he cares about his brothers a lot. He
does.
And I think the fans care too, so much so that recently, during using a reader poll, Robins, the book, was launched. They gave the public a bunch of options of what book would you like to see us produce, and Robins won. And it's a story about all these brothers, these sons of the Bat, getting together and having adventures. So there's something very specific there. But Richard Grayson is absolutely the umbrella by which all these other Robins are underneath. And he's like you said, he's the perfect middle ground between Batman and Superman. He's also the perfect middle ground between Batman and the Robins. Like he's not ever going to be Batman, and he's not ever going to be Robin again either. So I think, that shadow looms large, particularly with Damian, because Damian is actually Bruce's father. And yet Dick and Damian have a wonderful relationship.
I have that. Yeah, go on.
No,
sorry.
You go ahead.
No, I have that screen grab from Tom Taylor's comic where Damian jumps and he hugs Dick, and he will never do that to anyone else but Dick.
Yeah.
Because of the experiences they've had together, and it's Dick who's like, sorry, but it's Dick who makes Damian realize that you come from a world where you were born to be a killer, right? But when Dick becomes Batman and Damian is his Robin, that's where he grows, because he sees Dick in the same path that Bruce would be on, but Dick does so many different things, and he does everything differently than what Bruce would do, that he eventually becomes the mentor of Damian. He's like, if I can ever get out of what I was supposed to be, it's him that will have to pull me out of it. And Dick is supportive all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that the beauty of that particular run, of Grant Morrison's book where Bruce was missing, and he put it much more articulately than I can. He said the roles are reversed. You've got this sort of Batman who's light and funny and dedicated to the best possible solution, and you've got this Robin who's like surly and gruff and extra violent and just wants to punch evil in its fucking neck, and that was the dichotomy of that is really interesting in characters who you are normally familiar with being the opposite way around. So I think they're definitely the two Robins that you put up being the most interesting. And it's funny too, because they bookend the Robining of where we are. Damian is still currently Robin in the books, the Robin Prime, and Dick was in the beginning. So they kind of had all this stuff going on in the middle, and yet these two guys become the strongest parts of that story. Just beautiful. And if you get an opportunity to read that Grant Morrison run where Damian's introduced and see his interaction with both Dick and Tim, it's really, really fun. It's really interesting, and I highly recommend it. I recommend anything written by Grant Morrison, even the confusing stuff. So, Addie, final thoughts on the legacy that is the Robins. Do tell me.
It's a very, very interesting legacy. It's one that starts off with just one of the best characters, and arguably should be the face of DC Comics and DCEU. It's just really heartbreaking that he's not.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of backstory, a lot of previous to kind of understand, like Dick Grayson used to be Robin is probably not enough for people. They want Batman's a bit cleaner, I guess, but as a character moving forward, he's definitely should be top tier in what they're producing.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. And testament as well to the current run of the comics is one of the highest selling comics currently being produced. So that's got to mean something.
And then we have Jason Todd, who is a broken person. He is a broken person, and it's his tragedy that happens with Bruce. And I love that he comes back, and when he does, he questions him. Why? Like, I get that you weren't able to save me, but why is he still alive?
So poignant.
And yeah. What do you think about Jason? Just final thoughts.
Yeah, the other Robins we spoke about briefly, but they don't have the I mean, Tim Drake has an interesting story. You know, his father being killed and so on, which is, you know, horrible. It seems like any Batman or Batman adjacent character needs to lose something in order to be able to do the job. But Jason's interesting in the fact that he lost himself, and he offered the chance for redemption. He kind of didn't take it. He is part of the Batman crew now. He's you know, one of the Bat Knights, or, you know, in the Bat family.
Bat family, correct.
He's still very damaged. There hasn't been a healing for him. I hope that there will be. I think that's a really interesting story where Jason ends up being the guy who he's not Dick Grayson, but we look at him the same way, that he becomes that voice of reason and the you know, the strength that does endure when you have been through horrible tragedy. You know, scars heal and they make you stronger. And I think there's a place for Jason to get to within his story that he hasn't gotten to yet. So I look forward to that. But very interesting character, as long as Jensen Ackles plays him as well. You can totally do that. You can pull that off. Guy wears a mask half the time. So, but yeah, thank you so much again, everyone, for listening. It's wonderful to have you back. Episode 3. Just amazing that you're all here. By the way, this episode, you might notice, is called Robin the Animaniacs. That's me just being funny with words. Enjoy yourself. I'm getting a round of applause from Addie. Thank you so much. I'm here all week. Enjoy the veal. And as I said, it is a long episode, but all of our episodes are long. What were you expecting? Listen to it in chunks or whatever. Just come back. We love having you. We love chatting. Addie, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful to see your face.
Yeah.
So happy to get to chat this stuff. It's always such a good time. And we'll be back next week. Do we know what we're doing next week? Have we got anything on?
If you're free right now, we'll have a chat, like a small chat about what we could do next week, and then yeah.
Ooh, you hear that, everyone? We're going to have a little chat afterwards, some mystery around what episode 4 is going to be. Maybe it's going to be about, you know, bunting or you know, how to propagate orange trees. It's going to be completely different than what you're expecting. It's going to be about troll dolls or something. Who knows? We're going to chat about it now. Thank you so much for coming back to the Film Addicts Podcast, and we'll be back next week with some more fun. So we'll see you then. Thanks so much.